Man who was probably responsible or presided over a lot of these deaths and disappearances and murders and killings, himself, when asked about the brutal murder of Lasantha, laughed and said, who is Lasantha? Very ironical that he was such a pinnacle of power. Was just seen a few weeks ago wandering aimlessly in the Dubai airport.
Now, fraud and corruption are two of the primary reasons for the deplorable state of our nation and the shame that her people now have to bear. Now, revealing the names and details of politicians, officials and other powerful people behind this corruption is a service rendered to the people of this country. Lasantha Wickrematunge is a person who had dedicated his life to providing this service to the people of Sri Lanka, and he was murdered for it exactly 14 years ago. Now, today we call to memory his yeoman service to the nation while living in a country where the corrupt individuals who murdered Lasantha had now bankrupted the nation. The memorial event, or I should say a memorial event, was attended by family and friends of the late Lasantha Wickrematunge.
A memorial was held in memory of journalist Lasantha Wickrematunge at the Borella Cemetery. Journalists and other members of civil society were also among those who attended.
At the same time, it's very ironical that from last time when we met, I was not there with only COVID, to now, the man who was probably responsible or presided over a lot of these deaths and disappearances and murders and killings, himself, when asked about the brutal murder of Lasantha, laughed and said, who is Lasantha? Very ironical that he was such a pinnacle of power. Was just seen a few weeks ago wandering aimlessly in the Dubai airport. So when you ask a rhetorical question like, who is Lasantha, it's good for him to reflect back. But even more ironic, Lasantha's friend, whom I probably last met at his wedding, he's now taken the position that his antagonist has fallen out, and he is now presiding over the state of affairs in this country, protecting the very people that Lasantha stood against or stood to expose. How ironical is that?
In a tweet, Lasantha Wickrematunge's daughter Ahimsa Wickrematunge said, quote, 14 years ago today was the worst day of my life. We love and miss you so much. I am so lucky to be your daughter. I watched your spirit manifest through the Aragale last year, and I wish you were here to see it all. I will fight for you till the end, end quote. Taking to Twitter, Amnesty International South Asia called on the government of Sri Lanka to end impunity over Lasantha Wickrematunge's killing and ensure those responsible are held accountable. Amnesty International South Asia shared a timeline on Twitter of the developments since the incident. The Centre for Justice and Accountability tweeted, quote, this is another somber anniversary with no accountability in Sri Lanka for the killing of Lasantha Wickrematunge, which implicated government security forces. The CJA highlighted that the investigation remains stalled despite the Sri Lankan government's claims that it is committed to resolving the case domestically. The CJA, along with Amnesty International, also called on Sri Lanka to end impunity for Lasantha's killing.
Lasantha Wickrematunge, the fearless journalist. Lasantha, who was the editor of the Sunday Leader newspaper at the time, threw caution to the wind in exposing those who engaged in corruption, even those in the upper echelons of the nation. Lasantha had an appetite for revealing the truth and exposing even the most clandestine misleadings, paving new ways in the field of investigative journalism. Lasantha was undeterred in his work, knowing fully well the substantial risk his line of work brought with it. He breathed his last on a fateful day like today, when he was assassinated in a cowardly attack along the Aptidia road by those who feared the power of his pen. At the time he was murdered, Lasantha only had with him his notebook and his pen. Lasantha, who was acclaimed for his services to the field of journalism and to the nation, was posthumously awarded with the IPI World Press Freedom Hero Award. Since the 8th of January 2009, governments have ascended to power and conceded control to new ones. All the while, the cowardly minions responsible for the death of a courageous soul continue to roam free. Although Lasantha's remains were exhumed on the 27th of September 2016 and a number of arrests were made, no substantial or effective breakthrough has been made to date.
First ක්‍රියාවලට මේ මැර ක්‍රියාවලට එරෙහිව නැගී සිටිය යුතුයි. මේ පළවෙනි වතාවත් මේ වගේ සිද්ධියක් වෙලා තියෙන මේ අවසාන වතාවත් අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම නොවෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ වුණත් අපි අවධානයෙන් මේ තත්ත්වයට මුහුණ දීමට සූදානම් මාධ්‍ය ආයතන සියලු දෙනා එක්මුතු වී මේකට මුහුණ දීමට සූදානම් විය යුතු බව පැහැදිලිව කිය යුතුයි.
A mere 48 hours prior to the demise of Lasantha Wickrematunge, on the 6th of January 2009, a gang of thugs attacked and destroyed the then state-of-the-art MTV-MBC broadcasting complex in Deparnama. Lasantha, who always stood for the freedom of the press, arrived at the Deparnama studios a few minutes after the attack and spoke out against it. His courage and ambition to fight for what is right is seen through his actions. Although those responsible for Lasantha's assassination are roaming freely for 14 years, they will never be free from their conscience and the truth. We are not afraid to face off against the forces that stand against revealing details of those who perpetrated acts of corruption and fraud. The power of the people is the force that drives us, and it is this same power of the people that keeps us strong in our service to the nation. The truth can never be hidden, never, and justice will always find its way to those who commit crimes, always.